Hey, another thing that I think is very helpful when it comes to researching and about the world, when we have a hard time believing the new things about the world, is consider this. Know right now what it is you believe the world, okay? Know that. And just, if that is what you wish to believe, if you want to believe the world is exactly as you think it is right now, do it and know that. But now, while you know that, okay, realize the holes it has in it. Realize the unanswered things. Realize the answers they have not given you from generation to generation. And realize the stories that they continue to regurgitate, okay? Now take that as your truth. And that will amount to a book about life. And if you believe that life is just this big in all these thousands and billions of years, then that's fine, because that is what we're taught. So know this and enjoy that that is what life is, okay? Because on one hand, I lived there too. And I did believe that what life is. But at the same time, I always wondered, is because when you go further into the past and you start learning about philosophers and scientists and people that they said were smarter than we are today, and that we don't have those same types of smart people today, and that they're one of a kind. When you start realizing the surges of them throughout generations and how we aren't like that today, then you'll start to see that it's not that they were, what do they call them? Like once in a blue moon people that come in. It's not that. It's that a lot of it that we're suppressed. The way that we're meant, how they teach us, the systems, it's crazy, okay? These people are so smart that they have built this life and structure in this way that we believe everything. But when you start going into, and I don't want to say alternative news, because while it is that, they have infiltrated that as well, because it's the same as they've infiltrated everything. But if you start to go into like everything that you believe of life in this book, start looking at the things that other people are saying. Start looking into the opposite of what you believe. And from there, and don't just be skeptical. Go ahead, be skeptical, but go like further into it. Why are they saying this? And as you go, you'll start to see that it starts building its own story, and that this book that we believe is life, this book actually starts getting bigger and bigger and bigger and deeper and deeper and further and further. And you'll start to realize that this is actually painting the true story of life. Is because while we think life is this, it doesn't make sense then to how long we actually have been around for. And we're not just humans, we're stardust, we're so much more, we're everything existing compiled into atoms, into this body, buzzing as we are and vibrating, and we're this energy that has been around for, if you believe again, the 13.8 billion years, that we're that much knowledge within us, bustling, and here we are. And so when you start realizing that this book that they sold us about life doesn't answer that much about who we are, but yet when you start realizing this book keeps growing and growing and growing, then you realize that's what life is. That what we're being sold as life is only such a mere, it's so minuscule part of life compared to what we actually are, which are deep spiritual beings. We are. And that's another part that's hard, is because when some people don't want to consider them spiritual, you don't have to, I understand, is because the word that you have come to know as spiritual is now infiltrated as well. There's so many things that have been infiltrated. And while you don't want to be a conspiracy theorist, I understand that as well. But do you know how many conspiracies have actually been proven to be true? Do you know that they are no longer conspiracies? Do you know that a lot of the conspiracies that they try to put in you as hoaxes is to deter you from the true conspiracies that are true? Because the ones that are true are the crazier ones. The ones that are hoaxes are the ones to deter you from finding out the true truths. And when you start realizing how much of so many things have been infiltrated by this system, by these people that are working for the evil or dark side or darkness, then you'll start to see why these systems don't actually work for us, yet we continue as people feeding into the system thinking that that is what works for us when it's not. They have studied us so well that they know that humans, when you ask a question or many questions, you only need a little bit of an answer to deter you for a bit besides getting the whole truth. They know this stuff. And so it's the same thing with the systems. They do their agenda while giving the people very little, while making the people think that it has to be this way when it doesn't, while they're doing so many things that are against what we're asking. All the governments in the world that I know of are not for the people. They're not doing things for the people. Like, it's just, when you start to see so much more, you start to see how much is actually against the benefit of our well-being, of humans' well-being. And you're just like, well, why not this? Why not that? And that's when you learn throughout time how many people have been continually fighting for this, and yet we're still here. We're not moving much. And it's because from each generation, we do the same thing. So history, as they say, repeats itself. It's only because us humans are letting it repeat itself. It doesn't need to repeat itself. We're just allowing it to because we think that's what human nature is, while it's not. And then we go and they point us to animals and say that, well, we're like animals, except they only show you that side of animals and they don't show you the whole other side of animals, which is they're way more loving and caring than we are as people right now. Like, anyways, getting offhand again and crazy, but it's just nuts, okay? It is. It's so nuts. But at the same time, it's so interesting and I'm so passionate about it, which is why I'm happy to share it here. But anyways, yes. So when going into different parts of life, it is try to have an open mind because it is different than what you know. But at the same time, it doesn't mean it's not real. It doesn't mean it doesn't exist. It's just us realizing that there's so much more to life and us than there is. I always find that most educated people always, I guess it's because they were raised in the system, always think there's a pinnacle of knowledge. So they feel like when they go to school, they're at the pinnacle of knowledge and there's nothing more to learn. But there's so much more to learn because if you think about all the different, like, masters in schools, they master in one thing. You go to school for one thing or for 3 things or 4 things or 5 things, yet life has way more than that. Life has so many facets, and to be a master of all of those is to understand life. And when you can master all of those and realize how much of that is not what life is, again, we get into this cycle of we need to be better for the people. We need to wake up and see that the systems are not working for us right now, that this is not what life truly is. And that is what people need to realize first, is that this, what we're living right now, is not what life truly is, and that we can do better and that we can be better. And from here, again, I will help you with the steps because it starts with us. Sorry, I know I get offhand. Just the way it is for now. I'll get better. I will. Because, yeah, you're along for my journey too. So thank you as well.